question is, how is it with me? Have I discovered what that purpose is? What is my function? God has created you to be you. The core is what it is about me that God wants. When you throw away the core, you don't find your future. Because if I were to throw the seed away, destroy it, what happens? But the purpose of this apple, the function of this apple, is to produce more apples, that you guys can have apples every time. Not only that, we won't reach that state until we what? Until we get to the core. Because in this apple is an apple tree. God wants you to discover what your purpose is this morning. And as we read Romans, you will read that while God desires so many things of us, He also says that there are consequences for our disobedience to His will for our lives. Being transformed by the renewing of your mind. Your mind, your heart, your mind. Stop allowing what's happening around you to influence you. Stop allowing your past to influence you. Stop allowing others to influence you. I remember the song by Andre Crouch, where it says, "Take me back." You see, the message this morning is you need to go back to the core, the heart of it, the heart of the matter. What is the matter of the heart? The matter of the heart is the heart of the matter. What is the heart of the matter? It's the matter of the heart. And so he says, take me back to the place where I once received you, where I first received you. Now, I want to ask you a question. How many of you remember the time when you were converted to Jesus Christ? What was it like? Wasn't it exciting? There was a joy. But as the years went along, what happened? It went with the times, didn't it? And so, in order for us to discover that, I'm going to suggest to you this morning, go back. Go back. Look back, because if you don't know where you've come from, most likely you're not going to know where you headed. You made a decision some years ago to follow Jesus Christ. And so I want to ask you the question this morning. Are you still fulfilling that purpose? Have you yet discovered it? You know, old marriages become new when they go back to the core, yeah? Like, I love you. Oh, Cindy, you and I. Honey, well, what's the dishes for this whole week? Have the washing up. Go back to the core, to the basics. You know, when we started, it was like, I'll meet you at this restaurant, candlelight dinner. Go back to the core. Old job is revived. An old job is revived when we go back to the core. You know, when you first got this job, you were excited, yeah? I'm a manager, or I'm a cleaner, or I'm a tea lady. So excited. But after a year, or 2 or 3, what happened? Oh, I'm sick of this job. Oh, I hate so-and-so. Go back to the core. Go back to the place where you first received Jesus Christ in your life. Maybe it will help inspire you. We're summing up shortly. And this is the context that I want to share with you this morning. I just take a slight diversion here to put it into the context of worship. 3 points before we close. We offer ourselves to God because of His mercy. That's in verse 1. Why do we offer ourselves to God? Because of His mercy. Say it with me. We offer ourselves to God because of His mercy. Mercy. Paul presents God's mercies as his strongest argument for giving ourselves to God. Because of God's mercy, give your hearts to Him. Point number 2. We offer ourselves to God as a living, what? Sacrifice. Still in the same verse. A living sacrifice. Not a dead sacrifice. You know what a dead sacrifice is? He wants you a living sacrifice. It's there. Romans 12, 1 and 2. We give ourselves to God as a living sacrifice to present your bodies. The expression living sacrifice is set against the backdrop of the Old Testament sacrifices. While the Old Testament worshipper offered an animal, the New Testament worshipper is to offer himself or herself to God. Just as the people of Israel presented the animals and the sacrifices to the priest, we are to hand over our bodies to God, our lives to God. The illustration was told once about a young boy giving himself to the Lord. And we have little tray baskets here when we go collecting the offering, yeah? So the young man, the leaders were talking about a particular service and saying, did we really come up with anything great during that service, that weekend program, or whatever it was? Did anyone give their hearts to the Lord? They looked through their data, no one was baptized, no one stood up for altar call. But then somebody said, no, there was one. There was one. Really? Yeah, there was one. When they collected the offering, young Billy, he stood inside the tray. Do we have one around here? Just imagine. He had nothing to give to the Lord. So what did he do? He got inside the tray, giving his everything to the Lord. Sometimes we come to God, to church, and we're not willing to discover what His will is for us, but we're coming with our ailments, yeah? We come to ask God for prayer, or the pastor for prayer, or the deacons, or whatever. We come to give. But it's not about getting. Coming to God to worship is about our what? Giving. It's what you have. An offering of what? Of praise, of sacrifice to God. And that's what this little Billy did. Jumped into the offering bag. Third point and last point. We offer ourselves to God all the time. All the time. Husbands, or maybe wives, how many times have you said to your husband, oh, I'll just love you for like this week, and then next week I'll think about it again, whether we could like extend it. Husbands, what would you do? I'd say, keep on thinking about it forever, because I'm out of here. That's just an illustration. I won't do that. I won't dare do that. But point number 3, my last point is, we offer ourselves to God all the time. Living implies life. For life. For real, for real. Have you heard that expression? Yeah, man, yeah, bro. For real, for real. God wants you for real, for real. Offering ourselves to God is not something that should be contained within a 60-minute worship hour, Sabbath morning, or a connect group. By the way, how many of us are in connect groups? If you haven't joined a connect group, I encourage you to join a connect group. Better still, start a connect group. And come and see us if you need the materials, because I tell you what, it's driving me crazy. What's the title of the connect group study? Hey? Oh, it's driving me crazy. Oh, okay. But we need to be crazy for the Lord, amen? Yeah, but I encourage you, if you're not yet with the connect group, you need to get connected. Did you see the screen earlier on? Get connected. Get connected. I suggest you get connected if you haven't found your purpose and your will, or God's will for your life. Get connected. So we're on point number 3. True worship, and the last one, is our personal linking of faith and works and offering our everyday life to God. And it isn't something that takes place only in church. It takes place everywhere. In church, out of church, on the beach, in the park, at work, at school, at home, everywhere. Real worship sees the whole world as the temple of the living God. It sees the whole life that you have as the temple of the Holy Lord. Real worship is the offering of everyday life to God. You know, I've taken it slightly away from Romans to put it into the context of worship this morning. A person may say, I'm going to church to worship God. But he or she should also be able to say, I am going to the office to worship God. I am going to school to worship God. I'm going to the restaurant, or I'm going to the bank to worship God. So when you go to the bank and you get agitated standing in line, and you don't go to the front counter and say, you guys took too long, I have to hurry up and get my stuff done. Or get behind me and say, I was here before you. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm talking about? Life, every day. So when you get on the bus, students to school, and there's an old lady sitting there, like your grandma, your mama, and you can say, excuse me, ma'am, would you like a seat? And not just pretend to not see her. Yeah? Or when they walk in, and you know you're the closest to the door, you turn the other way, so no one will say, that young guy, or that young girl, she should get up and offer the seat to the old lady. So you act as if you never saw her walk on the bus. Living daily sacrifice to truly know who and how we worship. Let me see you in your office. Let me see you at your home. Because most of us see each other, nice, pumped up, nice dress, nice, whatever you got on, but we don't see them at home. And we don't see them at their workplace. To truly know God. It never ceases to amaze me that we have developed a kind of selective Christianity that almost totally goes against what Christ really wants us to be or to live like. Worship is not just a church activity like we discovered. It is a life activity. It is your living. Worship is not something that we just do as an occurrence. Worship is not a once-a-week event. If you will not worship God 7 days a week, you do not worship Him on 1 day a week. That's a powerful statement. It's suggesting that we keep a constant relationship with Jesus Christ. And when we do that, we are not conformed to this world. When the temptations come, we are able to stand and we become changed. A metamorphosis takes place, a change takes place in our lives. Then we are able to discover God's purpose for our lives. Are you ready to put your whole self into the arms of God this morning, church family? Are you ready to commit your all to Jesus? James Matthew said, worship is the free offering of ourselves to God. Ever renewed, because ever perfect. If we fail to follow God's will for our lives, then what we are doing is we are conforming. We are conforming. Someone once said this, closing this morning. Commitment is grieving of all one knows of himself. Giving it away. Commitment is the giving of all one knows of himself to all one knows of God. So it's a giving of your life totally to Christ. Giving your life to Jesus. Anything less than total commitment or total transformation, as Paul says, is unacceptable to God. You know, that means it takes effort and time. Consciousness. Realizing. Yearning. Studying the Word. In order for us to give out everything. This is what Proverbs says. 23 verse 26. My closing passage. My son, my daughter, give me your, finish it. He knows if you give him your heart. If he gets your heart, what does he get? He gets your everything. A story was told, an illustration used so many times about an Indian chief. I may have shared it some time ago here, but I want to share it again. I attended this tent crusade many years ago, back in the outbacks in America, and as he stood there, the minister was making his altar call. Won't you give your lives to the Lord Jesus Christ? And this Indian chief, was back in the day, sat there in this tent right at the back, wondering, what does this all mean? Give your heart to the Lord. Give your everything. Jesus wants your everything, your life. And then chief sits and he says, I have nothing to give Jesus. So he looks down and he sees his blanket beside him, picks his blanket up and he walks to the front. Indian chief, give blanket to the Lord. Goes back. And the preacher appeals. So he looks beside him. He's got some things there that he came with. So he says, picks it up, goes to the front. Indian chief, give smoking pipe to the Lord. Places it at the altar, goes back. Goes home that night. The next night, the pastor makes another altar call. Indian chief sits at the back, looks around, and he says, I still got some stuff. Walks up. He says, Indian chief, bring tomahawk to the Lord. So he puts his axe over there. Goes back. And the peal goes on. He looks and he wonders, what else do I have? He walks up. Said, Indian chief, give gun to the Lord. Places his gun at the Lord. And the appeal goes on. He looks around. And he's wondering, when will this end? And he remembers, because he has nothing left beside him in the tent, so he thinks of his horse outside and he goes, bring the horse inside the tent. Indian chief, bring horse to the Lord. We laugh about the story. But that's not the end of the story. And as the appeal goes on, he realizes where this is headed. And he realizes that something important is about to happen. So he walks up, he stands at the altar, and he says, Indian chief gave himself to the Lord. My question is, you may be struggling with some things in life. Have you given yourself to the Lord? Friend, we live in a day and an age where the devil is so angry that he's doing everything that he can to discourage you. He's doing everything that he can to manipulate me, to manipulate you, to influence you, our young people. How do we respond? How do we respond? Let me close by the reading of our verse this morning. You can follow through. I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your what? Your bodies, your life, a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. NIV says, verse 2, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye what? Transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable, perfect will of God. My prayer is that we will discover our purpose and that we will allow God to use us for His glory, so that He will break the eastern skies and to claim us as His own. Let's pray. Father God in heaven, we thank you for the reminder. Lord, the passages in Romans 12 and Romans 13 are so powerful, and sometimes it challenges us right to the core. But I pray that your Spirit will speak to our hearts so that we'll reach into the core and make the change for you, that we will turn our lives over to you. And like the Indian chief said, we give our lives to you. May this be our prayer. We pray all these things in Jesus' name, and let God's church say, amen. I'm going to invite the praise team to come up as we all stand and we sing our closing song this morning.